Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 146 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Cameron.
Hello.
And Keo.
Hello.
This week, we're going to be talking about a console that gets you drunk, Ubisoft making more terrible fucking decisions, and a really weird achievement for Alan Wake 2 that has a weird solution for it that I just got today that I have first-hand experience with.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this one.
It was very strange. I can't believe someone figured it out, but whatever. But first, as always, we do this show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat, the usual business. You guys, we're on episode 146. So you guys understand how podcasts and Twitch work. So, we got a community question here from my good friend Isaac, Mr. Logic Dad, who says, "Hey guys, how do you feel about stacking games? If the game is fun or easy, I don't mind playing it again. But if the game's a slog, I probably won't. Though I might, since it's still fresh in my mind, I can get through it a bit faster the second time. Thanks." I don't know. What do you guys think? Keo, I don't know, Keo, you stack some games occasionally, right? Like you've replayed a few things here and there.
Yeah. I answered this in the Discord because I'm like, oh, I'm probably not even going to be on the pod this week, so I went ahead and answered it. But yeah, so like the way I go about stuff like this is that I've always liked interpretation, like in different forms, like reading the book about something, like, you know, the novelization of like a game or whatever,
Sure.
or an edition or something like that. So I'm like, back in the old days, when you used to buy stuff like the Tomb Raider, as one of the examples I used, the Tomb Raider Legends on 360 was different to Tomb Raider on like and Nintendo DS and the PSP, because like the DS version would be like a side-scrolling game and stuff like that, like really interesting. So you could play the game multiple times, but you'd actually be playing it differently because the DS would use the touchscreen features, and you'd have like a little relic on the screen, and you had to dust like the relic to make it appear like on a wall and stuff like that. So this kind of stuff is really, really good, like for the most part. But these days, people just mostly complain about resolutions and differences between platforms, like with that stuff. But I mean, I like, if I'm going to do it again, I buy it on another platform. I'm like, right, I'll go get the platinum trophy. And then if I'm lucky, it probably just auto pops it. I don't know, like Destiny 2 did. But then, you know, I'm all for playing the games again. It's kind of a shame actually with the PS4 to PS5, where if you have the PS4 version completed of a lot of these things, if you play the PS5 version, it auto pops all of the trophies. So if you wanted to go ahead and play it in a better quality, the best quality, you'd have to play on the PS5 first and then go back and then do the trophy separately, because I don't think it goes back
Right.
to the PS4. It won't auto pop the other way. It'll just be if you install the latest version of the newest thing, right? So that's good for them. But I mean, so I go from Xbox to PlayStation and just fully play it on a different platform, so I have that opportunity to earn again. And I've definitely done stacks like games for Windows and all that kind of stuff. I was
Sure.
talking about Batman Arkham City last week, how I've got 3 versions of that game started. So,
Yeah. I'm definitely. Yeah, it's an interesting thought around like what. Like where it used to be like ports weren't necessarily ports; they were kind of like reinterpretations of a story or a game.
yeah,
And they'd have like different studios working on them, and like it would be,
100%.
they'd get the kind of rough script. I think the last one that I kind of remember in that vein was Splinter Cell Double Agent. I think the original Xbox and 360 and the 360 had like two quite different versions of the game, and there was a big debate over which one was better. But
I'm just thinking like
yeah,
on the same vein, the Simpsons game, Shark, like all those like IPs back in that generation, where the DS game may not be the same as the 360 game.
it can't be. Yeah, the technology just wasn't there.
That goes all the way back to the old Nintendo systems, though, because I remember playing Jurassic Park on the NES, and then playing the Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo when they did this 16-bit version, I think, or it was something along those lines. And I'm like, I was just going in looking for the same game and not getting it. and
Yeah.
then the NES version turned out to be my favorite version of the game. Where you had Ghostbusters 2 on the NES was really, really similar to the Game Boy original version
Oh,
of
right.
Ghostbusters 2, which I have. I have both of them, I think. At least I have the Game Boy one. But and yeah, so you could have that experience and it was the same, but it was just in that black and white kind of Game Boy shade. Which is, its own retro thing, really. So but yeah. Hmm.
I also want to point out for our audio listeners, Cameron was doing a visual joke by stacking his games on top of each other in front of the camera, and I just was not going to acknowledge it, but because Cameron,
I prefer Jenga.
Yeah, Jenga
Isaac.
as opposed to stacking. Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't acknowledge it at all because I didn't notice actually,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
was. Yeah,
sorry.
um, yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but Bulbasaur in the chat did ask why there was so many. Cameron was stacking so many games, so I figured I had to address it.
And I just got that joke.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Cool.
Okay, so
You gotta love a visual reference on audio
oh
podcast.
yeah, this is just like that Bo Burnham CD that he did, where he had to explain all of his visual jokes when he was on stage. That was great. Uh, Cameron, you got any thoughts?
Uh,
I guess,
I
but
mean,
both in like the past and the current, like the current sort of
yeah,
situation.
I try. I mean, the first thought that jumps into my head is essentially like if I enjoy a game enough, like I'm going to do it again.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like any situations lately where I've actually stuck a game. Because nothing's like really coming front of mind to me. I'm sure there's like, I mean, do you treat like MCC compared to like the original Halo
I
games?
guess. I mean, like, I think there's a difference between like a remaster or a remake, but I think
Hmm.
that there is a
Or an upgrade. Yeah.
yeah. But I kind of I get what you're saying, right? I this is something that's occurred to me a little bit. Like I used to, when I was big achievement hunting, I would play every version of everything. Like I played Bioshock so many fucking times, I could play it in my
Yep.
sleep at this point, right? But if they released yet another version of Bioshock, I don't know if I would play it. At least not anytime soon. I think that
I,
yeah,
I was going to say, leading on to that thought, usually my mindset is like, actually, one popped in my head, Sunset Overdrive.
yeah.
I think Sunset Overdrive is one of the best games of the
Hmm.
Xbox One generation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everybody will agree, but I'm just very much a gamer that loves like quick movement. Like you think things like Titanfall, Sunset, that's my kind of jam.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I did Sunset. I left it a few years. And, like the only problem with that game is the chaos.
The
is
Chaos
it chaos
Squad
mode?
mode, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which isn't in the PC
Like
version.
I mean, I left it a few years and then I just did the PC version. Like I won't go crazy. I don't want to do things back to back straight away unless the game's like really solid. But I'm trying to think of an example that's like I know I'll do Control.
Yeah, I've done that
Like
three
I'll do
times.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it kind of gets to the point for me, like I think a good 3 to 4 year gap between like doing a game is like perfect for me. Because I do get those moments where I want to revisit old stuff, but I'll finish a game, I'll digest it, and then I'll let it sit for a few years and then go back and try and remember.
that was going to be my next question. Like, I struggle with this a lot because, like I've talked about before, like my mind just does not let go of video game stuff. Let's go of everything fucking else, but in terms of like mechanics and stories and like kind of stuff, like how games work and that kind of stuff, it's always in there. And so I find it
Mm.
really hard to replay stuff because I'm a bitch for novelty. Like I much prefer new, interesting experiences over the same old stuff. That's the reason I don't play like a lot of multiplayer and I don't have a huge amount of nostalgic games.
Leading on to that, like I won't unless it is a stellar experience, I probably won't go back to it because I've had that experience before.
Exactly.
And we're at a buffet with Game Pass. Like, we've
100%.
got so much
And
choice.
what about in that case then, from the things that you think you might have played, did you get anything? Did you discover new things playing a game a second time through?
I don't know. I mean, like I tend to like fucking rinse my games in terms of how I play them. Like,
Hmm.
uh, I guess maybe like an interesting, maybe slightly more recent example is, and this is technically a port, but it is Persona 3 when they released it on Game Pass, and then the remake that they did for Reload this year.
Yeah.
Reload was really good. Like I enjoyed it, but Persona 3 is first of all my least favorite of the games, and the story is identical. Like they've made no changes to it. Like it looks a lot nicer, it plays a lot nicer, but the structure of the game is the same. The kinds of things that you do is the same. The stories, they have made no changes there, right? Alison and Chad is pointing out like Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot is like a really good example of something that was like long enough ago that I was actually quite excited to go back and play it. Like that was a full remake, but it definitely hit those nostalgia points. But I think for like me as a big narrative gamer, it's hard for, like unless they're doing a remake of the story or it's a retelling or like a reimagining, and there's more stuff to discover there. Like I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, but I found it really hard to play Resident Evil 4, the remake, even though it was a absolutely fucking fantastic, like 10 out of 10 game itself, because I knew every beat that was coming up, right? Like I was like, okay, this is the part that this happens. I know I'm going to go from the village to the castle to the island. Actually most of what I was looking for was, but like, what have they changed? Like I was keeping an eye out for like, okay, that's different. Well, that's different. Well, I took this out, or that line, the fucking some of the cheesy lines aren't there anymore. And so I was like, oh, okay, I find it hard to go back to games, and I used to stack all the time when it was like achievement hunting was the thing, and I was like, I didn't actually care that much. And I was like, I'll do Bioshock 5 times in a row or whatever, back to back, because I think to, Isaac's point around like, it's quicker when you do it the second time if you've played it recently and you can just kind of breeze through it. But
smashing the stacks.
Exactly. But I guess the question is like, why are you playing it again? Like if you're just playing it for the score, then that makes perfect sense. You do it back to back, and if it's a short enough game, it's like, oh, it's a 10-hour game. I'll just do both of them, right?
Yeah.
The other thing to lead on to that is like story versus like I'll wait years so I can experience the story again, because I'll miss like I'll forget beats and all that, and then you have that sense of nostalgia coming back to the game and everything just fills in and it's like a rediscovery essentially. Sure. But then there's other games like I'll just use like Overcooked for example, or Moving Out, like that you'll play for the gameplay and that's why you'll do the stack.
Yeah. I definitely think there's something to that, right? I think there's like different reasons to do the stacks and different reasons to go back to the experience.
To me, it's more so like, I could play on Xbox, but like if I've already completed the game, then I'm not getting any score from it. Like as an achievement hunter, with so much potential games out there, I'd rather go, all right, well, I can just do, I can do Overcooked 2 again, get a whole bunch of score, and I'm utilizing my time.
Yeah. I used to have that sort of mentality now, but now I find myself sort of shying away from that, unless it's like I said, a short game. But like one of the examples that spring to mind actually is The Witcher 3. So The Witcher 3 has two lists. It has the regular and then the Game of the Year edition. Witcher 3 is a fucking fantastic game.
Yeah.
And I played through the original game. Well, I played through the original version of it with the DLCs, smashed it all out. It took me, fucking ages because it's a long game. And then a few years ago, I tried to go back and start Witcher 3, the Game of the Year edition, because I was like, I remember really enjoying this game. But I couldn't do it. I just I put maybe 10 hours into it, and I was like, I'm just kind of, because I knew the beats, and I knew how long it was going to take, and I knew what the investment was going to be, and I knew I wasn't going to get the same out of it as I did the first time, it was really hard for me to go, yeah, I want to put myself through this again.
Yeah, you think about the things that you had to struggle with.
Yeah, and the things I liked and the things I didn't like, and I'm like, I have to have those exact same experiences again.
To me, that's just RPGs in general too. Like, I find it very hard to get into an RPG and actually enjoy it. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, Wolfenstein: The New Order is like perfect achievement game for me, and I stacked it. Even though the 360 is an absolute pain in the ass, you really appreciate the fact of like not having to swap discs over once you go from physical to digital. But
for sure. And I think part of that is, again, like back to like the length. Like I think Wolfenstein, on top of being like a perfect achievement game, is almost a kind of perfect game in terms of how it's structured, how long those levels are, and I'll talk a little bit about Wolfenstein 2 as well.
A really, really good example is that, like, I just picked up a PSVR 2. I'm doing all the Resident Evil games, but Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 4 exclusively had PSVR 2 versions. There's a mode. Basically, you can just play through the main story and 4 and stuff like that. But I think you might be able to do all of 8. But it's just like, I just went through 8, and I'm just like, I'd love to have the experience initially in VR, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually going to do my Resident Evil 4 playthrough in VR the first time because like the differences in perspective are so different that I will enjoy it as a different game
Sure. Yeah, for
as
sure.
well. So if there is a way to play it differently as well to get a different kind of enjoyment out of it, perfect. But yeah.
I also just have this kind of issue with replaying games in general. Like, I don't like it, and we saw a couple of examples of it this week, funnily enough,
Mhm.
around like when they just add like a new game plus for no reason, and you're kind of like,
There's
Yeah.
so many lately.
Two
Like,
games you had to do.
yeah, and they're not really adding anything to the experience. So, for example, I talked about Persona 5 Tactica a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. That game has an achievement for discovering or fusing all the personas, and you can there's like 12 of them that are like ones from the other games that are kind of like cameo ones, but they only appear when you play through a new game plus playthrough. Nothing else changes about the game. Also, all
Yeah.
your levels reset and that kind of stuff. Like you keep your equipment and a few other bits and pieces, but you basically have to grind back up to level 99, and like it doesn't change the game in any real big meaningful way. And it just kind of felt like it was tacked on. And I feel like that's kind of most games aren't good enough to play by themselves for a second playthrough, to be honest. And then expecting you to do a stack of them is also is a hard ask in some cases.
I'm torn because from like the achievement hunter sense, then yeah, like it is annoying. But then from a consumer sense of, I think back to Teenage Me that limited budget and all that. If you're getting more out of your games, that's
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I guess my point there is that you're not really getting more out of the games. Like, if the new game plus serves a purpose and you've got changes you've made to the game and like there is actually a reason for it, then that's one thing.
I mean, case by case basis then, because like some games, I think, like Dead Island 2, I wouldn't say it's justified enough for a new game plus in itself, but they added the revenants in. Like,
They added some new stuff. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think like if you're just tacking on new game plus and it's just a stat like change and all that, that's where
Yeah.
it's like wild.
That-
But
I guess
um,
Yeah, another. Sorry, yeah, I know you're still talking.
Yeah.
Another good example is what PlayStation have been putting. Every single game has like a new game plus on it.
Mm,
Like, and it's always 6 months after the game's release or something.
yeah.
So and it's just like you have to go back and you have to do new game plus long time after you finished it
Which I think is maybe
Um,
okay because it's like, okay, well, maybe now is a good time to go back to it. Maybe
to refresh, revisit it,
if you
stuff
really
like
want
that.
to, if the game's
Yeah.
good enough.
Yeah.
I can kind of see the rationale.
Yeah.
But I just kind of
Yeah.
feel like they don't add enough with those modes to really justify
Yeah.
the reason for it.
Astrobot's done something different where I don't think it could justify a new game plus at all,
Mhm.
but they're releasing week by week speed runs for all their levels,
Yeah, right,
or
right.
or like a select set of extra levels or whatever. So and they're actually adding functional content to the game after the fact instead of just tacking on a new game plus.
Well,
So
that was an interesting point we talked about a
Mm.
while ago with the sort of God, what was with all the, like the title update stuff and the like adding title updates to games without actually adding new content. As just kind of feeling like they just kind of drag out more of a game without actually giving you anything more for it. And like Dungeons of Hinterberg, I'll talk about when we get to what we've been playing, kind of suffers from that a little bit.
I haven't done it, but is it Graveyard Keeper or something? Was another one? Was that the name of the
Yeah,
title?
Graveyard Keeper, where they just put like another
like
fight.
Stardew Valley, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not that long ago they released an extra update as well, and it was years after the game came out.
It is a bit strange. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example, but I feel like when New Game Plus originally came out for some of these titles, it was more of like a, hey, here's a way to like show cheat codes or like
Yeah, well, here's a
or
way to
stuff that
like
we used.
speed through the rest of the game, do a super boss or something, or
Like I think Resident Evil like is a good example of
Yeah.
doing a New Game Plus.
yeah, you get to like keep your weapons and like you can get like an infinite rocket launcher, or they have secret stuff you can unlock and kind of like
Yeah.
do speed runny stuff or a knife only playthrough and all that kind of stuff. Like yeah,
I mean, essentially, it doesn't add like more content. Like if you think about it, it doesn't really add more content like story wise or
Sure.
anything to the game. But I mean,
It's value.
like just going through rocket launcher and just absolutely
yeah,
demolish.
there's something
it's adding
different
value
satisfying
to
about
the
that.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different way to play it. Yeah, I can definitely
Yeah,
see that.
Lords of the Fallen with the new game plus there as
Yeah,
well,
that's
where
actually
you can choose to
a
stay
very
on
good
zero
example.
or
Actually, yeah,
It's actually a good one.
Yeah, even though I'm not again a huge fan of those modifiers because they're kind of a pain, but I kind of understand what they were doing.
I mean, at the same time though, they give you options with New Game Plus and Lords of the Fallen. Like you can just keep it 0,
Yeah.
or you can bump up the difficulty, which I know some Souls people just want to keep on going as high as they can.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to just keep it on 0. Yeah, I think that'd be a great one for Dark Souls. I think just to close out this question, one of the things I was kind of thinking about is sorry, yes, Cameron.
I was gonna say Alan Wake 2 as well because like they did add the New Game Plus a week after. I know it didn't get any achievements, so a lot of us didn't check it out. But it changes the end to that.
Yes, they've added some extra stuff to it, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that's I don't know if it's enough to be worth.
The game released unfinished.
Playing through the whole game again, but just watch it on fucking YouTube. But just to sort of close out this point, what I was thinking about this a little while ago. I can't remember what game it was, but it came out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play. I was debating if I was gonna do. It was something on Game Pass that had a stack. Again, I can't remember what it was, but I played through the main game of it, and I was like, am I gonna do the stack? I'm like, actually, you know what? It joined Game Pass right at the beginning. I played it right away. And I'll probably do the stack when it's leaving Game Pass. And that'll probably be long enough for me to be like comfortable being like, oh yeah, I'll go back to that. I still remember it well enough that I'll get through it much quicker. I don't have to watch all the cutscenes or whatever, but I also have like the choice. I don't see myself doing a lot of the like back-to-back stacks anymore. Because I just don't achievement hunt in that way anymore. It's just not that interesting.
I just thought of another really good example that we have done recently that we probably don't even think about. Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like Vol Hunter modes is essentially just another form of New Game Plus.
Yeah, kind of. Although we kind of skipped over most of that, right? Like we didn't. I
mean, we did, but I'm just saying if we're talking about New Game Plus in general, just to anybody.
Sure.
I do think those kind of like.
Like any kind of looter game with a leveling system is kind of eventually you just start outpacing unless you do like a Diablo 4 and you're always just moving up. But yeah, I get what you mean though. All right, but thank you for the question, Isaac. Hopefully that answers your question. And if you want to ask a question, go on our Discord. Some bunch of random numbers and letters that you need to figure out. It's impossible to figure out, but if you check out my TA profile, I have it linked there. Otherwise, ask me and we'll get you in there.
It's harder to find. Neomaster, not Neomass.
No, that's different. That's a different one.
It's harder to find the Discord than it is to answer the word challenge.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, actually, you're probably right. All right, let's get into the news. I grabbed a few stories this week. Again, there's not a huge amount going on, but this was one brought to us by our good drinking friend, Shane, who was very excited to talk about us. Southern Comfort reveals a ridiculous booze dispensing Xbox Series X accessory. So Southern Comfort has a ridiculous console Xbox accessory, an attachment that dispenses a 50ml shot of alcohol for players with a spare $50. I don't. There's not really much to say about this other than like go check out the video. Yeah.
Okay, like starting off, like when you said this, I was like so excited for it. There are some caveats with this.
Yes.
It dispenses a 50ml shot, like as in a actual shot in a container.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a dispenser.
No, not like a drink. Like not like a soda fountain for Southern Comfort.
I mean, why am I going to buy all the tiny little bottles of that just to dispense it through it?
Why would you buy this accessory in the first place unless you were committed to doing that ridiculous shit?
Someone's going to be an idiot and do the opposite thing that they did at the start when they said the Xboxes were smoking and blowing
the
vaping air into the and it coming out the top. This will be someone pouring Southern Comfort into the console and it leaking out the bottom.
I'm looking forward to basically having every sort of appliance in my house replaced by a Series X version of it,
What does it say about my brain when I go, all right, if this was actually like dispensing like a 700ml bottle, like shot by shot, I would buy this in a heartbeat. But because it's dispensing the small little bottles one at a time, I'm like, no.
And it should just be like one of those dunking birds where, every time air blows through the top, it does like a dunk, So every time the fan whirs up when you're playing a 4K,
Shane was so excited. He was like, "This is my jam."
Shane's probably got like a wall of all these like shots ready to go, and then every time he gets an achievement, it's going to be like, little treat.
Oh man, he starts playing fucking something new game, and it's fucking completely smashed. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. Again, it was just kind of a fun social thing that they kind of do, but.
Feels like the kind of thing you'd see on Shark Tank.
Yes, well, I mean, this is your kind of viral marketing ridiculousnous that I just kind of love in the video game industry.
It just leaves a bad taste, a sour taste in your mouth.
There's
What do you mean? I love my Southern Comfort.
I actually don't know what this Southern Comfort sour is.
Yeah, I haven't
not
had the
seen
sour
that,
one.
but-
I've got I think it's like Southern Comfort Black something.
the Southern Comfort is one of the few things I got very, very drunk on. That was a mix of stuff, but Southern Comfort was one of those things. So I don't know if I could ever drink it again, to be honest.
I love it. It's lolly water.
Yeah, I know,
Everyone's got that
I get
one.
it. Yeah, I can understand why people are Southern Comfort and fucking Sprite. Their global brand director, Dave Binder, says avid players are craving a more interactive and social experience with friends, and they're celebrating a hard-fought victory or unwinding after an epic fail. Oh my god, when was this written? And what could be better than a SoCo sour-up before a power-up?
What's up, fellow kids?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Word up, kid dogs. How's it chilling? Yeah, I don't know. I mean... It's just go check out the video. It's like 30 seconds or whatever. It's fucking stupid, but you know.
Like Call of Duty had their little pop fizz drinks last year. We're back to gobblegums. This is old news.
Yes.
Like, why are they putting this stuff in the console? You know, it's all about gum now.
I mean,
So it
Xbox is
should be a
getting
gum
out of the
dispenser.
console market apparently. So maybe they're going to get into the drinks market. They're just you never know. It's like it'll play Halo, but it'll also mix you a martini.
Someone out there has made a bar/console.
Hell yeah.
I would 100% go for that. Before I finish up the story too, Southern Comfort and Pasito, fucking amazing.
I'll have to take your word for it. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of opinions. We started talking about alcohol, so we're going to get a lot of opinions from people on how wrong we are about our drinking habits.
I mean, all the Americans are going to have no idea what Pasito is, and I'm going to be just sad.
I mean,
and then half the population will have it said a different way and go, it's not Pasito, it's Pashio or something.
You know what? They can fight. They can fight. That's not a hill I'm willing to die on. That's fine. Other stories we got. This is an exciting one. Until I remember that Ubisoft doesn't know how to make, release, market, deal with community members, do anything of any note properly. But Ubisoft is apparently in the early stages, quote unquote, of a new Rayman project. Because I guess Beyond Good and Evil 2 just isn't ready yet, so they need something. They're apparently exploring new ideas. There's not very much they've said, but they did say that they're Montpellier and Milan are working on the exploration phase of the Rayman brand. I really hope this doesn't mean they're doing another fucking Rabbids game and it's kind of a bait and switch.
Have they done any 3D Rayman projects, or is it always just 2D?
I'm pretty sure it's always been 2D as far as I'm aware.
Just Rayman 3, which had a HD version on Xbox 360.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was...
I just think of like that Spyro, like Banjo-Kazooie, like kind of open world thing would be great for Rayman. But
I don't know. I mean, like Rayman has always been like very traditionally 2D platformy, kind of like quite a hardcore kind of game in terms of like it harkens back to some of those more old school platformer stuff as opposed to the more sort of casual.
I mean, so was Mario until the 64. Like,
I guess, but I mean,
I'm just saying, like, you know, Prince Persia and all that, them trying new ideas. Like,
yeah, sure. I would definitely be keen for it. I just feel like, man, like Rayman Legends and Origins was so good.
Yeah.
Even a whole like generation or two away from them now. And I would just love a new Rayman project. But yeah, the original one was PS1, 1995. So and they haven't done that many of them since then. But it would be really cool to see what they do. But yeah, I'm definitely on board for them to do a like an interesting 3D reimagining. Rayman 64. It's just, I was actually joking about Beyond Good and Evil 2, but Michel Ancel, who is the Rayman guy, apparently was working on Beyond Good and Evil 2 before he left the company. So, and they're going to bring him on as a consultant for this one. So, even though, Ubisoft has gone through a lot of changes, I am maybe a little bit hopeful, but I don't know. I'm curious how long it's going to take them to make a Rayman game in this day and age.
When did Beyond Good and Evil 1 come out?
It was a PlayStation 2 game, and it just had its 20th anniversary.
2040. All right, got it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was thinking
Yeah.
about picking up the redo of Anniversary. Actually, we'll see. I don't know. I Beyond Good and Evil is one of those like must play games in my book.
Probably check it out next time I get Ubisoft Plus.
Oh shit, yeah, it'll be on there too. I've completely forgot about that.
Like I said, I mean, like Xbox Game Pass isn't the only one with day one purchases.
True.
Like,
This is true.
Yeah.
it's the one thing about Ubisoft that I actually really like at the moment is just, wait a few months, get Plus, and then raise through the content that they've put out.
Someone in the comments points out that it's insane that it's been 11 years since they put out Rayman Legends. Oh, man, we're getting old. But yeah, but unfortunately, this is going to be slightly tempered by our next story. Is that Ubisoft is disbanding, or has disbanded the team for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. On the other side of things,
Yep.
apparently they did that one DLC pack. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any more content for it. It doesn't sound like, but yeah, they've been moved on to other projects. Maybe one of them is a Rayman. I don't know. I mean, again, with Montpellier team is the one who made Prince of Persia, so maybe they're going to use some of those expertise for a new Rayman game or a new Assassin's Creed. Apparently, there's some stuff going on there. Again, they have like 10 Assassin's Creeds in development over the next few years, so I guess they need more people. But I don't know. I think Prince of Persia was definitely one of the best games I've played this year, and it's a real shame to see that they kind of pitched a sequel and it doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. I don't know. Any thoughts?
This is it is unfortunate, but I mean, like, it just depends where they're putting that talent. If that talent's going into projects and being ingested into stuff that will actually improve other projects, then fine. But yeah, like, to know that we're not going to get the same team performing like just as well on a new game, that's disappointing.
It's just 6 months to about a year ago, I kind of felt like we had a good idea of where Ubisoft was heading in terms of like them with like subscription and all that.
Yeah.
And now it just feels like it's just completely gone back to like zero. Like I've got no, I go back 12 months. I wasn't keen for what was the pirate game?
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones. But like it was content. It was like we had Prince of Persia come out in January. We had the anticipation for X Defiant. We had like a pretty solid new slate of
Outlaws
games.
was supposed to be in like May, August or whatever, and got delayed. So again,
And then got delayed, yeah. But like you felt like across the board they had something like they had the typical Just Dance and those kind of titles. They had content updates for all their other games. And now I'm just like, you tell me what Ubisoft is doing in the next 12 months, and I know that they've filmed the Watch Dogs film, and that's essentially it. Like I've got no idea. Ubisoft has 20,000 employees. They should have small teams like this to exist. Not just still have your like AAA projects and all that, but like small teams that get to make creative stuff like this is going to be the fodder that helps bring keep Ubisoft Plus chugging along.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in this or end of last year, we were talking about like when Ubisoft Plus, were we going to jump on it? What was the reason for it? And we basically said that like there was no reason because Ubisoft games go on sale so often and everyone's played them. The back catalogue isn't really that appealing for Ubisoft. It was all about the forward momentum and the new things coming out. And that's why it was like I did like a month and I did like the Crew Motorfest, I did the Crew 2, I did Avatar, and I did this. I did Prince of Persia, and I was like, great, that's great. I just want I'll do it again next year when they have another bunch of releases.
Yeah.
And now we're in nearly November, and I've got
like what's coming out.
I'll play Star Wars
Shadows
Outlaws
got delayed.
maybe, and I'll play the DLCs for Avatar and Lost Crown, and maybe Beyond Good and Evil, a game that's 20 years old. I don't know. Like, yeah, I get what you mean, right? It feels like the last 12 months have not been kind to Ubisoft, and they've cancelled and moved so many projects and kind of just, yeah.
I kind of like, I'm sure they have to like consider like marketing and all this other stuff and all that, but like just have like, a few small teams just working on passion projects and that, and just, do what EA does with their
Originals?
Their EA original kind of stuff. Like if there was a team just dedicated to that, or even just Ubisoft partnering with smaller indies.
Which is
to
kind of what they're
bring-
doing with the Prince of Persia Rogue game that's kind of in early access.
Yeah,
at the
like
moment.
if they did that and they just said like, here's our IP, let's make something together.
Put out a
I mean,
fucking
like,
Splinter Cell game.
it's really weird, yeah, that we have the Sense of Time remake delay
Mm-hmm.
to like what 2026 or whatever
Yeah.
they reckon. But then Prince of Persia is still kind of, I don't want to say thriving, but like in terms of like content and putting good games out, both of them reviewed really well.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Yep.
Like early access for the Steam title, but
But still, people seem to like it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got a lot of like got a
like really good bones.
yeah, for sure.
So I'm just like wondering if they can do that. Say, like, what other IPs does Ubisoft have that they can?
I mean, they've got the whole Tom Clancy suite. They could, I don't know. It's like Assassin's Creed feels like the perfect thing to do smaller projects for, and they have a lot of projects for Assassin's Creed running. So maybe
But maybe
we'll see,
maybe that is the future.
maybe
Like,
we'll see some of that, right? Like just kind of smaller games in that universe. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, they say here that basically that like Lost Crown did meet sales expectations. And they were actually worried that a sequel would cannibalize long-term sales of the original game, which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, if seeing it in the sense that this being a one-off, then that could stand on its own as a classic. Then sure, because yeah, sequels like generally make the first game better. But I mean, will that be the case if they made a sequel for this game?
I mean, I feel like a sequel for this game would be really well received. I mean, like considering how
Yeah.
well it's reviewed, even if it didn't sell like gangbusters, like it's a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania that's being considered for Game of the Year. Like that's insane to think about. And it came out in January or February, right? So it's like,
So
yeah.
yeah, instead, if they're looking at their teams as resources or their people as resources, then if they take those people and put them where they need to be, and it just so happens to be that this team's been dismantled because they've got better places where they need those people at the time. If they're actually using the resources correctly and putting people where they're strongest, then there would at this time be no place for that team, but they could always reassemble the team if they keep all those people on board. They know who made the game. They could always put them back if that's what they're doing, and just moving people around to actually use them for what they're talented at. Then that's great. And they can come back to it later,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it'll
I'm
be a
just
lot
curious,
longer
like,
down the track. So
what they ended up like. Again, it's the games industry, so it's all shrouded in mystery.
yeah.
But I'd be so curious to see where these people have ended up and what their talents are being used for. And,
Exactly, right. Or do they end up in a empty room for 6 months?
yeah.
I just saw a Mortals Phoenix Riders thing, and I'm just like, and just give me like 10 small versions of Mortals Phoenix
Yeah,
Riders.
do what they did with the DLC and just do like a 8 to 10 hour, use the assets, build some new stuff, do a whole again like the fact that second game around like the Polynesian god stuff got shut down is just insane to me.
I just completely forgot that they had obviously Far Cry 7 and that side project too. That's
Oh shit, yeah, I didn't even think about that either, to be honest, considering
I'm
how
sure that's
rough
probably
6
still
was.
fair, well away, but
Yeah. And then obviously Outlaws is not doing super great, but they've released more updates for it, so
I just feel like going back to it, Ubisoft Plus would benefit so much from like just smaller titles.
in the same way that Game Pass does,
Yeah.
having access to indies to kind of bolster the ranks while you're making your
Yeah.
big games.
And if it's all going to be internal stuff, then they need to bolster it.
Yeah,
or something.
and the way you do that is by licensing your IP out to other developers, realistically, because they obviously don't have either the capability or the intent to build a lot of the stuff themselves in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And also at a high level of quality, unfortunately. Yeah, we've also got another couple of stories here. One, two about Helldivers 2. So Arrowhead was talking. Arrowhead's community manager got asked about Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox at some stage, and said that it's up to Sony and Phil to duke it out. Which, if we were talking about this 12 months ago, I probably would have been like, "That's very funny. It's never going to happen." Now that I don't know, there's some talk around like I don't know. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's more possible.
Part of me go like I've said in private, I've said in private to these two before. I swear every time I see a news story like this, it's just poking it to see what the reception is, and then it
Hmm.
becomes a thing.
Of course, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like it, you know, like or rumored this and all that, and then we find out like 6 months later. I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. I wonder if it's this, but at the same time, it's like I think Sony, I think Sony just like to be assholes.
I mean, there
This
is
kind of stuff.
that, sure.
I think this could just very much be like a, well, why would we put our games that are doing well on a, I mean, take it back a second. Think of Helldivers 2. Think of the PlayStation Network stuff with Steam
Sure.
and how they went like, all right, yep, cool, we'll remove the PSN requirements and all that, and then went, fuck it, blocked every single country that wasn't a PlayStation, like
Yeah.
in the terms of service and all that, and
Hmm.
revoked their license.
Hmm. And there are less countries for PlayStation players than there are Xbox players because of the breadth of
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
So you would essentially be injecting Helldivers into countries where they did not have access to them before or something, something along those lines, something
Yeah.
stupid. So,
I very much want, like, I would love to play Helldivers 2. I think, it would be great, I love my party games. Um, I just don't see it happening.
I don't
the
know.
Xbox players should be the bugs.
Yeah, actually, that'd be kind of fun. Um, I mean, I can potentially see it. I think that if it makes sense from a financial perspective, I don't feel like ego is going to get in the way of that for the most
I,
part, right?
I think yes in that case, but I just think PlayStation are just going to view this as a, yeah, it's just one of those exclusive titles that is another reason to buy a PlayStation.
Sure, but as the player base tends to dwindle, right, as it will over time, I feel like Xbox is going to be a potential like easy way for them to kind of boost those numbers a bit. You put it on Game Pass day one, on Game Pass Ultimate, and suddenly you've got a big injection of players into your player base.
Question is though, does this game have legs? Like, are they going to keep on
I mean, it
producing?
seems. I mean, considering that Sony have been really banking on the live service model for that, like they were doing like 10 live service games. Concord fell over.
I mean, this is the only one that has come to fruition, and it wasn't really because of Sony. It was because of Arrowhead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously Sony.
I mean, it was Sony's funding and all
Sure,
that, but like,
but yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like this and Destiny, and then even Destiny is kind of in a weird spot right now, right? And so I think that in the same way that it made sense for Microsoft to get Sea of Thieves on as many platforms as possible because they wanted to increase their playership and just keep people invested in the system and the games. I can kind of see it swinging the other way for Sony. I mean, again, I don't think there are going to be many Sony games that this relates to because Sony's obviously in a much better position than Microsoft are. But I feel like it opens the door, and the fact that
Well,
to me, this is more it's an Arrowhead want it. It's not a
yeah,
Sony
sure.
want it.
But I feel like if Arrowhead want it, they're in a much stronger position for it to actually happen if it makes sense.
it's going to be very interesting for something like Marathon then,
Yes.
really. So, like, these are that game as well would be the other one that would widely benefit from being everywhere. So,
Yep.
I mean, the alternative is we just all get Starship Troopers and just play that.
I heard it was bad. I heard it was
Yeah.
really bad, which is a shame because I love that movie, the first one at least.
It's such a good movie.
And then this is the last quick one. Alan Wake 2's Lake House DLC, which I played this week, has a weird buggy achievement with a fun solution that someone figured out. And again, thanks to some Reddit user and TA users who figured this out. But there is an achievement for watching a video of what happens to one of the characters. It's kind of like one of those video logs. But it only unlocks the achievement if you watch it in under 30 FPS, 30 FPS or less. So if you're playing the game in performance mode, which I do because the game runs like absolute shit in quality mode, unfortunately, and they have not been able to fix that. You just don't get the achievement. So luckily, I heard about this before I got to that point. Not that the DLC is very long, which I'll also talk about. But yeah, if you're going to get this achievement, make sure before you go in the room, you got to have your level 3 security card. You'll know where it is. That you change your thing, change it down to quality mode. If you're on performance mode, go in, watch the video, go and save if you don't get the achievement, and do a restart, refresh the game, and it'll unlock usually.
In defense of the game, in defense of this, movies generally are filmed in like 24 frames a second.
Oh, sure.
So like, you know, maybe it's a little inside joke.
No,
maybe
it's
they're
bad.
like that. I don't know. Maybe they should. Maybe 24 frames should be a thing, and then maybe they'll find out.
Just to further add on to this too, because obviously there isn't I'm pretty sure there isn't the modes on the Series S. Close the game after, reload your last manual save, and rewatch the video, and the achievement should pop.
Yeah. If you're on PC, apparently you need to actually use a limiter to get your FPS down to 30. So have fun with that. I'm sure they'll patch this relatively soon, but it's just funny that it happened.
And that somebody's discovered it so quickly.
Well, I guess some crazy people play the game on quality mode for whatever reason. So, but yeah, let's get into our Game Pass updates. There's quite a bit going on at the moment. Cameron, do you want to read through them?
Yeah, so we had Call of Duty Black Ops 6 hit Game Pass Ultimate and PC today.
This is the first I'm hearing about this game.
Yeah, as well as Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone for cloud. Ashen is coming October 29th to Game Pass Ultimate Standard and PC, and Dead Island 2 is coming to PC on Game Pass Ultimate and PC on October 31st. November 5th, we have both StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 Campaign Collection. Very interested to see what achievements they add to those.
If any.
If any, yeah, that's true. Leaving, we've got Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, which I highly recommend you check out, from an Aussie dev couple. Very funny games. Headbangers, Ribbon Royale, I highly recommend you avoid, unless you're very much into skill-based achievements. Same thing for Inclinati with difficulty. Then you've got Lonely Mountains Downhill, Min and Echoes Night Market, Like a Dragon Ishin, and Dirt 5. I'd say Dirt 4.
Maybe Dirt 5. Ishin is also a very long game.
Yeah.
Ishin and Dirt 5 also
Ishin I would avoid.
quite
Dirt
late.
5, maybe? There
Well,
are some hub aspects.
we also haven't had any confirmation on any delistings or anything like that with Dirt, because that tends to happen after all of when it gets removed from these services, considering it's EA Play.
Yeah, true.
Actually, is it EA Play, or is it Game Pass, and then maybe they're adding it to
I think
EA
it's just
Play?
Game Pass, I think. Because
Maybe they'll be re-adding it to EA
I think
Play.
it was EA Play initially when it first, closer to when it released. And then I'm pretty sure it got added into maybe Game Pass. No. I feel like at one point in time I saw it advertised as Game Pass, but I'm not 100% sure.
I got to be honest, when I see a Codemasters game, my eyes kind of glaze over and I just don't pay attention. So I have no
Dirt
idea.
5 was really, it felt more like Horizon.
I mean, that sounds good to me.
know.
I did consider it because I do enjoy a good racing game every now and then, but the rally stuff just does not do it for me.
Yeah. Oh, I hate Rally.
Oh, it does it for me. Rally does it for me. I'm all over that Rally. So, pour one out for the Rally fans.
I mean, pour one out, mate. They've got drinks to spare. The fucking Rally fans are like, yeah, they got limited to only having 24 cans on them at a time. That's how you know how much Rally fans drink. Which, I mean, I guess you have to when you're standing right there when a car could just come and wipe you out in 10 seconds. If he just happens to do a Scandinavian flick incorrectly. See, I know my Rally stuff. Even though I'm not a big fan of it, I know my Rally stuff, all right? We've also got a monthly theme, which is every 2 months. So September, October, we're doing And Stay Down, which is for finishing up your title updates and your DLC. I think we're getting towards the end of the month now. It's the 25th when we record this, so get your last couple of title updates in. I've got one more that I'm kind of chipping away at that I'm going to try and get done. But we'll see if I get there. It's some tough stuff. But I figured I'd also announce what we're doing for November and December. So it's Game of the Year grab bag time. So, which basically translates to, oh shit, it's November. We have to have a Game of the Year discussion. We should probably play some stuff from this fucking year. So I want to see completions. I want to see talking about games that came out this year. So
Yes.
give me all you got. Let me know what
No,
you're
Matt,
thinking.
nothing came out this year, didn't you know?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, exactly. So exactly.
Yep.
I want to be proven wrong. I want to hear about games that came out this year. I want to see the chat. I'm going to be talking about Case of the Golden Idol.
Is it like nothing per November, whatever, like the Game Awards?
No, I will be lenient. Like I'm not gonna have a cutoff for it. You can play through November and December. Just yeah, get your 2024 games in, because we spend a lot of time talking about old games and deals and shit like that. But sometimes you just want to play some actual recent shit so you can get in part of the zeitgeist. And there's no better time than at the end of the year.
Yeah, 2 months for this. So the bimestral burden,
Thank
as
you.
we call it.
Bimestral burden. We really need to put that on the
I need to.
Put it
I
on
just
the
had to
template.
look it back up again. I'm like, I'm gonna stuff it up again. I need to look it up.
Chuck it in the Trello template.
I will.
I'm looking at my list and nothing's.
I mean, go buy some games. It's fine. Now's the time.
Asian Mythology Retold. There we go.
That counts, but you've already finished it.
Can I play it again?
Well, let's
Can I
hear.
stack it?
Actually, Cameron, let's hear about what you've been playing this week at least.
All right. I'm pretty easy. I'm just gonna quickly breeze through them. I guess we'll start off. All you need is help.
Oh yes,
All of us need help.
all of us
there
need
you
a
go.
lot of help, especially after listening to that fucking soundtrack on repeat for the last 10 hours.
Fa, 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 fa.
Oh my god.
Okay, so all you need is help. I went into it thinking like, all right, this was going to be select a bunch of puzzles and all that, and just work your way through. No, this is 100% randomized party game
Yeah, it's weird.
where you've got 3 different worlds and you can't rotate except by rubbing up on people,
Well, not necessarily on people, but yes, you basically have to. Yeah,
on objects.
yeah. You got to
Okay.
get your grind in. You got to work it.
This game is fun for 2 hours and then it becomes a very, very big ball. It looks cute. The music is goddamn horrible.
But we keep singing along to it anyway.
Oh, I got it on mute.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
really?
gonna-
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, you can listen to us singing along
Oh,
to it.
God.
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure Matt was falling asleep last night.
I was actually feeling it was rough.
That's why I was like, let's call it.
Yeah, it was bad.
The only, I guess, redeeming factor for it is that it has a pretty decent TA. I think it's like 7.6.
It's going down a little bit, but yeah, it's few people have finished it. But
Um,
I mean, like, I think that as a game, as a concept, I think it's pretty good. Now, I enjoyed the puzzles quite a bit. Like, there's some fun stuff in there. I just think
it's so
structurally,
bare
yeah.
Yeah. Like, it has potential. Like, the idea has potential, but,
Yeah.
man, like, having to have 4 players or, I mean, yeah.
It reminds me of one of those very first episodes of The Simpsons, where the whole family has to sit in a room and be tempted not to zap each other. I think if there was an actual risk that went along with this game, then it would be a lot more entertaining. Just dealing with each other's bullshit, trying to get these little blocks around and stuff like that. So
Just based off that, somebody needs to make like a straight jacket game of you just hitting into friends or something and just.
I'm just
I
thinking
don't
of like Octodad, but with multiplayer and just people.
With multiplayer, yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty close to getting all you need is help done, except everybody else seems to have very even progress when it comes to nameplates and items.
yeah.
Whereas I've unlocked mine now, and I still have to get fucking 25 more accessories.
I got the same amount. I've about the same amount too. I
Yep,
think
we're all about
We're
that
pretty much all there
50,
now.
50 so percent.
And then this game has furniture as well, which doesn't track to an achievement or anything.
Yeah, the whole
It has-
gacha thing is also just like another real bad mark against it. To
Yeah.
be honest,
I mean, would you feel differently if the furniture had an achievement and if it was something else that you were just checking off and it's like, oh, I'm done with the furniture. I just have to get this now.
I would just like to be able to spend
I've
the
had
coins
2
on the things
games
that I
this year
want.
I've had 2 games this year that have suffered from this. It was Space Lines from the Far Out, which means to be both try to get done before it left Game Pass. If you're going to have a whole bunch of randomized mechanics like that or randomized collectibles, then just make it make it just one achievement for everything.
Yeah.
Because you just make your you have an achievement like that throughout the rest of the list. And then the player just leaves the game feeling resentment rather than
Yeah, you just play way more of the game than you want to play, which is kind of where we're at now. Like, we're done with all the other achievements, and now we're just grinding out coins, trying to do the easiest levels.
Why not just say use the gacha machine like 100 times? Or something
Exactly.
like that?
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
Like it would still be a grinding achievement, but yeah.
But we'd be done by now.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, all you need is help. Me and Stubby finished up Evil West, which we had 2 of the boss miscellaneous achievements, as well as had 3 boss miscellaneous achievements and 1 collectible for all the hidden perks. We going through on the hardest difficulty the first time around definitely wasn't the smart play.
Again, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just going to
rights.
heavily imply that that's what I mentioned.
Bragging rights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
At least me and Stubby can say, you know, we're badasses. So yeah, we did that. We went through story mode on the second time around, getting the hidden perks, smashing out the boss in less than 6 minutes, and the boss without healing. The Birch is the only really annoying achievement in that game when it comes to just not allowing to heal.
Mhm.
We got up to the part in Stubby's game, like we were probably like 2 or 3 levels behind it. We got up to that part during that night. Stubby and I think probably got like hit once, and then we just, you know, just let it kill us kind of thing. And then you're staying there half a minute waiting for it to kill you.
Yeah.
Use the story mode. But then the last time I just went, fuck it. Let's just, all right, we're going to roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think it's hit us.
Yeah.
But Stubby's just like, I don't know. I just said, look, let's just go for it. If it doesn't happen, then we'll just play it on single player and get up to that respective part again and just go again.
Yeah.
It unlocked.
Yeah, I was not about to
we
me
were
a few like, did I get it? I'm pretty sure I got it, didn't get it when I did it.
Yeah. I don't like achievements like that where you're just guessing. Yeah, Evil West is a pretty good game. That's the only achievement that I don't really like, but it's just one of those like really solid AA experiences, like high tier AA experiences that you don't see often enough.
Mm.
I do think we're getting to a point in the industry where AAs just don't exist.
Yeah.
Well, they're starting to fade out.
Yeah.
Because, you either go the AAA project that has IP, behind it, that, or you're the experimental indie trying to break into the market.
Or double A is basically being replaced by established indie developer doing their second or third game.
Yeah.
Whereas like they're gonna take a bigger swing.
Yeah.
But you still wouldn't get something like Evil West even from that these days.
Yeah. No. Which is a shame. Like I do want to see more of those kind of games, but yeah, I think players' expectations too at the same time, like they just don't sell.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Did a few matches of Call of Duty tonight, Black Ops 6, pretty enjoyable. Everybody seems to have just sent me messages to ask me to play this. So yeah, I'll be busy with my daughter this weekend, but I will be trying to get the multiplayer done first. But yeah, pretty enjoyable. I'm glad they actually added a decent multiplayer achievement list to this.
I could have done without it.
I mean, it's a shame that it's a part of the whole list, and you get sucked into it. And then the only other thing I've mainly been playing is forgot to add it here. I've all started Dead Island 2 with Alex, and Left 4 Legacy doing the New Game Plus mode. Yeah, it's quite. I mean, this is one of those things where it's such a late update. Like, what, the game released a year ago or something?
Yeah.
Maybe over a year.
Over a year. Yeah.
They've just released a physical complete edition last week, and it was basically in line with them releasing this update. So that was even embargoed, like it couldn't be sold. Showed up at stores a couple of days early, and we were just like, "Why is this embargoed?" And then the update dropped, and it's like, "Well, okay, there's new content."
I mean, going back to it, really good AA video game. I don't know how far you guys have gotten into it.
I got to the Venice Beach part, so I don't know how far that is to the story. Maybe
like
halfway, 2/3, somewhere in there. Yeah.
I've done barely any. I got as far as being able to do the co-op. Did a co-op mission to unlock that achievement.
It's just one of those games that just benefits from being a co-op game.
Yeah, but the
But
season
I guess-
pass is as cheap, the cheapest it's ever
Yeah, it
been
was on
right
sale,
now
so I
for
actually picked it
Halloween.
up today.
So
Because I'm just like,
me
fuck
too.
it, I'm just
I'm
gonna
get
do it. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing that, and the last thing I've been doing, which is almost complete, is Far Cry New Dawn. Man, this is so much better than Far Cry 5.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I enjoyed
Mhm.
New Dawn quite a bit.
Like I like the fact that I wasn't with it at first having the different like star system, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I do think it makes sense like getting off some of the progress. Like Far Cry to me has always been like very open exploration and all that, but I feel like making like Far Cry 5, the biggest problem for me is it's not linear, you just go anywhere, you do whatever, and it feels too disjointed. This, because of this, allows it to breathe more. It has a very interesting story that carries on from 5. And it still has that, like, you know, it still absolutely rules taking down outposts. Expedition seems a bit much to me, but at the same time, like,
Yeah.
double jump, being OP as shit. Like,
They definitely had some fun with it in the same way they do with all of their kind of mid-game spin-offs, like they did with Blood Dragon and what was the other one they did? Primal.
yeah, I need to go. I've got like 7 achievements, so I'm probably going to do Primal after this. I've just really been on a big Far Cry kick lately. I think playing it in co-ops really helped that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, and sorry, I started doing the first DLC, Night Springs, for Alan Wake 2 tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, this morning. I did the episode 1 with, is it Sure? What's the girl's name?
Rose.
Rose. Okay, sorry.
Rose, yep.
That's
fucking hilarious.
It from the moment, like from the very start of that episode where you're listening, you're giving advice to the townspeople, to going in the kitchen, getting your shotgun and rifle, and walking out to like everybody clapping, basically being like, "You go, girl." That first episode is amazing.
It's fucking hilarious, right? I loved it. Yeah.
The only thing I struggled with was trying to get the achievement to pop for the
3 people with a single thing.
3 people.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a bit of a pain.
Bit of pain, but the rest of it was just like I was talking to Nikita about it. The rest of the game is, you know, such a horror based tone. It's so nice to just have these characters like be like, you know, just stretch into like a different zone.
The Twilight Zone, you might say.
Yeah, Twilight Zone, yeah. So yeah, the first one was great, and then I was like, I wasn't feeling the second one straight away, so I just skipped straight to Sean Ashmore.
Yes. Yeah, Sean Ashmore's one's a very interesting, fun thing.
And just 100% then just Sean Ashmore and Sam Lake talking to each other at the start of the episode was so much fan service for me.
Yeah.
I was immediately into it. The only problem with that one is the forest. I was looking up guides for it because I'm just like,
Really?
I'm doing something wrong. I kept on going to the water bit first.
Okay.
I didn't find the trailer.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I went there and I'm just like, clearly I've done something wrong. I need to trigger some event. I walked all the way back, went around the corner, and there was the trailer. But pretty much the rest of the DLC was pretty good. I haven't had the chance to go back to the second episode yet. But it's really good being able to use these characters like with a different tone and
Yeah, it's a fun, interesting experiment for sure.
Yeah.
especially with Sean's one as well, like going through the different, like you've got a bit of the episode which is comic book, you got a bit of an episode which is retro, like left to right, arcade game. What else is there?
Well, don't spoil too much of it because that's the kind of the fun of it. But there's the noir bit.
I don't want to spoil it.
But
How that episode ends, style wise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That I need to see games made like that. I
Yeah.
want games where that is the visual element.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to leave that. You need highly recommend you playing it. I mean, you should just play Alan Wake 2.
You should, yeah. Grab the deluxe
Just for
edition.
Herald of Darkness. Just play.
Yes.
Don't even play Alan Wake 2. Just put Herald of Darkness on repeat like 100 times.
They did that live version of the Game Awards last year, so.
I've got so many questions about Door now too.
Yes, right,
Is there questions about Door in? I'll lead you into your Alan Wake 2 experience.
Yes. So I did the Lake House, which just came out earlier this week, which is the second DLC for Alan Wake 2, second and final. This is a much more self-contained, like, no jokes, no laughing. Like, this is literally, it's just like, hey, let's just take a small part of Control. You walk into the Lake House, it looks just like the oldest house. All the Federal Bureau of Control stuff is all over the place. Desks, you read the notes in the same way with the little highlighting things. You read whiteboards. You like hack into computers by figuring out people's passwords and stuff and do like little puzzles. They even have the big cube things from Control. You know, the ones that you levitate and put into slots to power things up.
Oh yeah.
But because you don't have fucking mind powers, you have to literally like hoist it up and be like, fuck, this is heavy. And you also have like the, like changing environments as lights change and stuff. Like it is very, it feels like they were just like, here's like a little Control 2 demo in the Alan Wake 2 engine. Here's what Control 2 might look like. My biggest issue is there's not a huge amount to it. It's like, it took me like an hour and a half. I mean, maybe, again, like I had to go through and check all the collectibles because I missed one, so I had to go back and check them all to find one. But, so it took me like an extra like 20 minutes maybe, but it's not very long. Like you basically go into the lake house and there's 5 levels to the lake house and you're basically trying to get to level 5. And so you go between 1, 2, 3, and 4 to kind of get codes to go back up to open doors. And it's kind of, in the same way that that Control kind of worked in terms of like trying to get access to new areas. But it's a very, very condensed down version of it. There's a new weapon you get to play around with and there's a new couple of types of enemies, but there's not a huge amount to it, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. There's some fun, interesting implications. The idea being that the lake house was a research facility set up after the whole Zane thing in the 70s. And so they're looking at the idea of like, oh, the thing that happened, the Altered World event, the Threshold, the dark place, is interested in artistic merit or artistic things. So obviously Thomas Zane was a film director, and Alan Wake's a writer. And so they're like, well, what other art forms could we use to interact with it? And so they try painting, and that's kind of what the theme is, like paint, and like painting your soul, and also like writing. Like the idea was like writing can use metaphors, but you still are describing something on a page at the end of the day. So like the dark place makes that a real thing. What happens when an abstract painting becomes something real is kind of the central theme. It's very interesting, kind of like an interesting spin on the kind of like combining the Alan Wake and Control stuff, along with having 2 departments. Like the co-heads of the lake house are a married couple who are both working on competing projects with each other, and so you get the classic thing of like reading through emails between them, like the very funny kind of controlled the sense of humor of like office politics around shit that's like mind-bending, world ethereal shit. There's also a very funny thing about like pecan pie that just keeps showing up. It's very, very funny. And so like it has like little fun, interesting connections. But when I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, that's it. Like that's okay. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, to be honest.
I was wondering that today, like obviously just playing for the first DLC, it's reusing set pieces from the game.
Yeah.
Like the second DLC seems like they've constructed a new area.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's all brand new. I mean, again, it's very much like Control. Like again, like it has that very brutalist, like concrete architecture. You have like the bunker stuff, and like it's very much just like they just rebuilt the oldest house and like a little mini version of it. The oldest beach house. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I'm kind of like, okay, like cool. There's a couple of little cameo stuff in there. Again, I won't spoil it because it's definitely worth playing. But yeah.
Do I get to see Sean Ashmore again?
No, Sean Ashmore is not in this one.
Damn it.
But it's set kind of the before Alan Wake 2, so it's you play as Estevez, who is one of the main characters, and kind of when she arrives at Cauldron Lake and is going to Bright Falls or whatever, and like she's like, hey, I need some, we've noticed an Altered World event happening at Cauldron Lake when Alan Wake shows up. Let's get some support from the lake house here and see, check in with them and see if they've noticed anything. Gets in there and obviously shit's gone to fucking, it's all bad. But yeah,
Does
that
it
was
give
kind
you
of
like much? Sorry.
Yeah.
Does it give you much like lore connecting like Control and Control 2? Or
potentially. There's again, like because we know nothing about Control 2, right?
yeah.
There's a couple of things again, like there's some couple of things in there that I'm like, I don't want to spoil. There's one thing in particular at the end, towards the end, that you could actually miss if you're not like looking carefully for it. But I'd just say if you go to level 4, make sure to pull the switch to get the elevator, and check out actually make sure you pull the cord. Don't just go straight to the elevator. There's an extra little thing in there that you could miss. They point it out, so it's hard to miss, but you could miss it if you're not paying attention. Yeah, so I played that. That was pretty quick. Also did the update for Dungeons of Hinterberg, what came out, which I kind of talked about in the kind of New Game Plus mode. It doesn't add any new content to the game. It just adds some new achievements, which are like do a few more of the social elements to unlock a few more of the abilities, and do a few more, like do some of the quests that were already in the game. The idea being that like these really feel like achievements that would have been they should have been in the base game, and they're just kind of like, oh yeah, like you. I felt like the game was kind of a little unfinished, or there wasn't a lot of reason to do some of this stuff. Like some of the people you do like social stuff for, like their stuff they give you. Like one of them is like you have to use all 12 attack conduits, and so I think there was an achievement for like doing 6 of them in the base game. But it's like there's a couple of them that you get from doing the social stuff. So they just kind of want you to talk to more of the characters and experience more of the story.
Just stretching out more in the engagement of the game.
And so again, that was my kind of problem with it as well, is that like the reason I didn't do all the social link stuff was because I'd finished all the other dungeon content before I like had a reason to do all that. And this was like they didn't add any new dungeon content, so I was just literally just rerunning dungeons just to get enough stuff to upgrade the last couple of bits and pieces that I need. That kind of felt like it didn't really feel like it added much to the game and kind of stretched it. It stretched one part of the game without ultimately like increasing the other bit, which is a bit of a shame. But if you like really rinse the base game and did a lot of it, you'll be able to unlock these achievements almost instantly. Yes, Cameron.
Sorry, I just read our Discord, and Old Mate Clown just asked, how much room do you actually need for BO6? And Dubdeep23 responded, depends on how big your screen is. My monitor's 27 inches, so I just need the desk space, really.
Okay.
If you're one of those big 60-inch TVs, you'll need more space.
Jesus Christ. Those assets won't render themselves, you know.
I think it was about 360.
And now we go back to our stacking.
It's about 250, I think, is what the pre-release update was, yeah.
Okay.
I think I only had to install like 30 gig for the campaign.
Yeah, I did like 40 gigs, I think, for the campaign, yeah, which is what I'm doing at the moment. A couple other bits and pieces. Stubby gifted me a copy of Operation Tango, so I've been playing that with him. It's very much like We Were Here, like you take on 2 different roles and kind of communicate with each other. Having a fucking great time with it. We did like there's like 6 missions, we've done 5 of them. We're gonna have to swap roles and do them the other way, but yeah, really, really enjoying it. I love those kinds of games. Like this my kind of co-op experience. I always love the We Were Here series, so this is like a tech spin-off of it. Or talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I also I picked up a few games on the spooky sale. So I picked up Vertigo, which I know, Akio, you've played.
Yeah.
So I've been playing through that. That's kind of okay. It's very... I'm interested in it, but it has very... it feels like story-wise, I'm like, oh, an interesting mystery. But everything, the gameplay part of it is fucking boring as fuck. Like, it feels like it could have just been in like a movie or a visual novel and like nothing would have changed. Like, I feel like the game part of it is just kind of really unnecessary.
It's like, I think you streamed it?
I did.
Yeah.
I streamed it. I did a review, which is in the Patreon.
Actually. Oh, yeah, that's true. It just felt like very slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, really slow. Yeah.
I liked it though, actually. But it was really good.
The mystery's kind of starting to unravel a little bit. I'm like 75% of the way through it.
It's based on a book or a TV show,
right? So Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo is like probably his best film.
Yeah, I actually watched the movie, the original movie, before I played the game.
It's got basically nothing in common with I don't know why.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. They just were like, hey, Alfred Hitchcock will just license this for some reason.
It's inspired by.
Yes.
Heavily.
Very heavily inspired by, but it's a completely separate story. But I also picked up... What else did I pick up? I picked up Santa something or other. It was one of these other horror games.
saw something weird on
something or other. I don't remember what it was.
on your list.
Saints
Yeah.
Row.
Yeah, Saints Row. That's the one. There's another. I picked up that Clash game, the Clash Xeno thingamajig.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yep.
Firehawk was talking about a few weeks ago, and there was one other that I can't remember. But yeah, I've been just picking up a couple of smaller, interesting indie games and cheaper stuff, just to kind of play in between bigger games. Got almost all of the achievement, all the base game done except for Mein Leben done for Wolfenstein 2. So finally finished that game on I'm Death Incarnate and put it down on easy and just went through all the side stuff. All the achievements unlocked correctly this time, thank fuck. Mm-hmm. And so all I have left is the one Mein Leben achievement for the one DLC, for the first DLC pack. I've tried it a few times, and I got to the final boss part and I died and I uninstalled the game because fuck that. Reinstalled it because I'm going to try it again, of course. But yeah, that was...
You're your own worst enemy.
I very much am. It's not a super long level, but it is tough.
Yeah.
It's bordering on unfair. I guess the other big one I kind of played was Animal Well. So this is Donkey's publishing big mode thing.
Yeah.
This game's really interesting. I like it a lot. It is a 2D platformer, like heavy on the platformer because there's no combat. Platformer with a lot of Metroidvania elements. No dialogue, no text. Figure everything out on your own. It has a lot. It reminds me a lot of Fez when that first came out, where it was like doesn't explain shit, figure out the mechanics, and then also Tunic, which is like figure out the mechanics. There is a shitload of secret stuff going on under the surface that you will maybe figure out, maybe not. Like there are 64 hidden eggs in the game, and I was searching everywhere, and I only got half of them without you going to a guide. So there is a lot of really, really clever hidden stuff in this game. It is very much like an esoteric, like the discovery is the fun part of the game. The platforming and the actual kind of game itself and getting around is kind of a pain. It's not, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because the idea is playing it is really, really interesting. I would definitely say, like, try and get through the base game, like the main game, like to the end credits without using a guide and just kind of discover, like, how the stuff works and the tools that you get, and try and find as many secrets as possible. And then after that, I think using a guide is fine because, like, there's so many of those eggs. There's also, like 16, like, hidden rabbits. You only have to find one of them for an achievement, but there's the super, super hard to find secrets. So, and then you get like a true ending if you get all the eggs and that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it. It only took me about like 8 to 10 hours or so. So it's not a super long game. It's also very, very minimalistic. But I don't really... People are like, oh, game of the Ecatera, game of the... I'm like, it's good. Like it is a really like well-made, made by one person kind of like a really impressive game with a great amount of secrets. But the game itself is not like that amazing. I just think it's like... I think it's cool. And I'm glad that it's like glad that I played it. And it's definitely... one of the more interesting games I played over the last couple of years, because I love that kind of like Tunic style, Fez style, secret stuff, like getting on the forums with people and who are trying to figure out shit together. But yeah, but I definitely recommend it. It only just released on Xbox, just got ported this week, so I think it's like $30 New Zealand. So
yeah, it's quite cheap. Yeah.
How long do you think it took you?
Like 8 hours, maybe.
Okay.
So it's not like, yeah, people were like, oh, it's like a 15 to 20. I'm like, nah, you can get done quicker than that. I mean, if you want to try and find everything yourself.
I mean, it's probably like without using
yeah, if you don't want to use a guide for anything, you're going to be scratching your head for quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I find the marketing behind the game like so interesting because obviously Donkey's involvement. Yes. I really want to see what Big Mo does in terms of like games that they put out and what their style is.
Yeah. If this is a kind of precursor of the kind of stuff that they're trying to publish, I'm all for it.
But even like when it came to the press review and all that, I know that they got all the press like into a Discord server, like sharing the secrets of the game to like stuff like that.
So smart.
Which, yeah. I need to get around to it. There was a demo that I played at GCAP that kind of felt like it was mixing the mechanics of what I would assume Animal Well to be with what was that really that indie game in Game Pass last year, where you like move the balls around to like jump in and out of the
Cocoon.
Oh yeah,
Cocoon. It was like like he was showing me again, it was a mix between Cocoon and what I imagine Animal World to be, and I was so
Ooh,
fascinated.
that does sound interesting.
Hmm.
And it was a student project,
Great. I mean,
and I was like, if you need help, let me
yeah,
know.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure. We want more of that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, man, I need to play Animal Well already. Anyway,
yeah, definitely give that a
my
go.
tangent.
And then last one that I've been playing, and again, I did say I was going to talk more about it, but I just have not put enough hours into it. But well, I say that I put fucking like 20 hours into it.
Save it for next
Yeah,
week.
is Metaphor. I want to talk more about it, but I'm going to play more of it. I'm just like TLDR, fucking loving it.
Nice. Awesome.
All right, what else we got?
All right. Well, I guess that leaves my games. I've been doing three main things this week. I found a session that was in reasonable time. Where normally Destiny Xbox 360 at session times are like 2, 3 in the morning.
Hmm.
Whenever they pop up, it's like that with a lot of those games. They're very heavily American audiences and stuff like that, and not reasonable times for me. Um, so it was 10 a.m. on Wednesday, just gone, and it was for just finishing a raid on without dying
Yep.
with your fire team essentially. So flawless raider. We did Crota's End, which is classically one of the shortest raids and apparently one of the only ones in the game that you can really like properly solo. And
Oh,
there were
right.
quite a few people
Like
doing
really
it with two
cheese. Yeah.
people. So yeah, a couple of the people in the group had done it with two people, but they never done it by themselves. And there's a few things like if you get the right sword, you can basically get it's got the classic Destiny mechanics where you need two people on one side of a bridge. The bridge builds, they have to stay there, fend off enemies, and then when two people get to the other side, they have to sit on
Hmm.
their side and keep the bridge up while the rest of the people get across one at a time or whatever. And you can get just like you can find like the highest, spot on the original side, and then use the sword, which has
Swing,
the
swing,
ability to
swing.
swing permanently across to the other side. Which I hear this bridge area not being built apparently has like an invisible wall where you kind of have to go in on an angle, and then when you're at the bridge, go across the bridge because it has like a blocking kind of thing. It's just like
Wow.
the way that the area is built. Um, but we started the session. We had 6 people. It was great. The problem with it is the start of the bloody mission has you just going down to a panel. It shows you the mechanics like all good raids do. Like it shows you how to do stuff, and then they make that mechanic more complicated, like the bridge. So you go down to a panel, everyone's standing on this thing, and it's building the bridge in front of you. So that's where I come back to like the other one. You use two people to get on one side of the bridge, and then it builds the bridge. So it's already introducing you to the mechanics of the raid. But when you build the bridge, it transitions between two areas. So you go from where you are on the moon, you have to fall down a hole, all of you, and then it changes the map basically from the moon to the abyss.
Hmm.
And there's a point where it's just a free fall, but when it changes the map, it's like you're still free falling, but you can look down and then it changes and then you're looking forward again. So there's like a clear transition. The problem is that the way that the game's designed for your free falling is that 95% of the time, somebody is going to die when they hit the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single time. We spent 2.5 hours falling down the initial hole, trying to get everybody to survive. And with the one or two times that it wasn't a problem and we could go for a run, we had the next section. So the first part of the raid is that you're in the darkness and you have to go from point to point. It's that classic thing like in the distance you can see the next point.
Mm.
You have to go towards that. It's completely dark. You have enemies coming at you. So everyone's got to go to the next point. And you get I think it's called the Well of Darkness, building up to stack 10, like from 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10 stacks. And it slows down. your speed, and by stack 10 you can't jump.
Ah.
So you're going through the darkness and slowing down eventually as and you know the distance gets longer between each
Mm.
lamp and all that kind of stuff and unfortunately in the darkness there are also holes in the ground and they're either in the middle, in the left, behind a rock, or two on either side of a rock, and there's one where you have to jump up on the rock to get over it because if you don't, you'll basically fall in a hole. So, and you've got enemies pushing you around. So every time that we made it to the bottom of the initial death trap well, we would go for a run and then someone fall down a hole. And I'm also a perpetrator for this too. I fell down a few holes myself. So is everybody at some point falling down these holes? And you had to get past like, I think it was like 10 lamps or something like that from point to point to point. And that was basically our 2.5 hours to start. It was a 5 hour session.
Jesus.
We got to about the 3 hour part, and we'd only once made it to the end of that section,
Hmm.
like to the very end with all six of us. And there's a rock you can jump on, and the enemies can't get you, or because they can't jump up and reach you, and all that kind of stuff while you're waiting for the last bridge to actually build. Um, and by that point, people started to fall off. It's like, oh, I'm done. It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning here,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff, and they're just kind of finishing up. So about 10 minutes after three of these people left, there was three of us left, and we're like, we're just gonna keep running this thing and whatever, keep going for a bit. And we had there's like an Xbox chat that has like a bunch of people that just play the 360 stuff, and there's some really good people in there that run the game. A lot of people like him, but this guy offered to help us out, and he's like, "Right, I'll be on in 10 minutes. We'll get it done." So we ended up getting this guy in. We all stayed at the front on top without falling down that initial well, and we just saw him like go forward, drop down in the next area, and you could just see his little icon like going through that initial first area just from a distance. We're just like, we'll stay here. It's probably better off that we do that. And then he gets through that, and then we kind of go into the next area. You get transitioned. We all end up in the area because after a certain point, you can't get out of that first area because access to the hole goes away
Mm.
from that initial start area. So you were all stuck up there anyway. So then in the second area, when we get transitioned, there's a place you can basically go and jump up on certain cliffs up the side, and you end up on the platform where you would normally use your sword spin swing thing to get across to the other side. And you all stay up there, and the enemies despawn from your side and all that kind of stuff. So, and he'd done the whole thing to get across and was defeating the enemies on the other side. And we were basically just following his instructions where he'd shoot and stuff like that if we had to go and do something. So we eventually made it through to the end of that, in to the last area, and very quickly just ended up in this bubble at the end. And he's like, everybody stay in the bubble. And then he just went, and we just watched from a distance him just slaughtering Crota at the end. And it was just like, oh, if I'd only recorded this, it was so fascinating just to watch that happening
Mm.
and what they were doing to finish it off. And it's a common tactic apparently, like the way that you do it. And I haven't seen this before actually. So where it's just like a very specific you through most of the raid. I think he ran as his Defender Titan and then switched to Sunbreaker, which is at the end, which is the DLC for the Taken King. You unlock that once you max out your character. You get to go in. When you finish the story, you can go and get that third play style
Mm.
essentially, which is like a giant hammer, and you can basically burn the enemy, and you just see Crota in like engulfed in flames and stuff like that, and this huge thing on the screen. It's really good. And yeah, so finally got Flawless Raider out of the way. That achievement do have to do again on the one, so there's plenty of
Yeah.
time to
Right.
fool about with that, right? Because I've done everything. I've done all the multiplayer. I originally that's what I'd done and gotten every character to level 40, all that kind of stuff. But I just need to do the raids on both platforms, and then some of the content that you need to do the raids to access after that as well. So now I'm motivated with the flawless run out of the way, I've just got to do Kingsfall raid on heroic and standard, and do the missions that come after Kingsfall, and I'll be done with the game.
Damn,
Very happy with that
that'd
360
be a great one
completion.
to
If
get
that
done.
would
Yeah.
be amazing. And I'm at the same session, same time next week for the King's Fall. I just need to. These guys have been helping me get my light level up. So because they want you to at a minimum light level before you can do this heroic raid. So you have to kind of get there to do it. So before they accept you, you know.
Mm.
So, but maybe that's inspired me to solo run on the one version. So we'll see. We'll see. I like doing those things if I can pull them off. Next up, we finished our first run on Lords of the Fallen. So we did that with Stubby. So we did the Adir ending, and cleaned up most of the stuff. So really, just for that, before we go back and do some more playthroughs, I need to do just I've got the armor achievement, I've got the amulets achievement. I just need to get the spells. Most I can get, or I think all the umbral spells. I'm missing one or two, but there's a really weird the location for one of the umbral spells is supposed to just be in one of the pregnant belly
Hmm.
enemies near like a fireplace in one of the snowy maps, but
Yep.
it's gone and I don't have the spell, so I don't know what the deal is with that.
I think I know the
So,
one you were. It was Stubby missed it when I went through it because I think he didn't know it was there.
yeah. Yeah, and it's clearly not there at all because there's another character there that you're in, that you interact with and do some stuff with that you need for another achievement. So,
Mm.
and that's just gone. Like it's like it's been used. Like the pregnant belly's just been like pulled off. So, yeah. So I don't know about that, but I'll go through, get a couple of the random things, and then we'll start another run and kind of smash it out. So, but yeah, at this point now that we're done, I'm kind of fooling around with some of the other weapon combinations. But the swords that we chose, it's like the left-handed and right-handed swords really are like a good
Yeah, they're
mix.
fucking great. They're the light reaper
It
swords.
is
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, I tried to go with some of the fist stuff, but I'm just like, this isn't hitting. It's not hitting the same. So, yeah. Um, Other than that, I'm making my way through the Star Wars Outlaws story finally, just kind of really making some progress. I've done about I've done all the main missions on two of the worlds. It's so far really, really like it. I still really like the game. Like, there's nothing. It's a very lived-in world. Like, it feels like you're interacting with the world. The quality of the things in the environment and what they've kind of put in us is still really good, and you can tell there's a love and passion behind what they've done, which is really appreciated. Like, considering how much uh of the normal stuff that you would expect from Star Wars to not be there, like lightsabers and all that kind of stuff, for them to put something out that lets you interact and like live in the world is still really, really good. My only gripe is that I feel like it's going to be like the original Mass Effect 1.
Mm.
I mean, they've said, so it's not spoiling or anything like that. It's like they've said like you're an outlaw, you do heists, blah blah blah. But I feel I someone might be able to say something on it. And please don't spoil anything like that. But I feel like you're just going to collect a bunch of dudes and then go to the final heists. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
I don't want the game to end there.
I
That
think
would
the
be
I
bad.
think you mean like Mass Effect 2, right? Like
Yeah,
the suicide mission
exact.
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Mass Effect 2.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of what they're going for. It's what
Yeah,
it's what it
and it's
seems
just
like.
like that needs to be like the starting point, though.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and if they're going to end it at that, I 100% see why people would be disappointed in this,
Mm.
because it should be more than that.
Mm.
It's like, why one big heist? Like, just go, you've got all these worlds to explore, and you've got all these missions and things that you can do with people in the worlds. There's so much stuff, but like, there really needed to be something else there. We'll see. We'll see if there is or isn't. I'll be able to check in over the next couple of weeks because I'm kind of doing it when I get a chance. So, but I'm trying to mainline the story so I can I want that story checked off and then I'll
Yeah.
do the rest. So, but yeah, that's pretty much everything really that I've been mostly working out for the main part. So,
Sweet. This is a good list of games, guys. We've been playing quite a bit.
Yeah,
That's great.
heaps.
We've also got our leaderboards. Let's have a look at them this week. So, in third place, we have Martel with 16,395 gamer score. We have Jimbot UK with 17,120 gamer score. And we have Basham back up the top with 21,850. Great job, guys. If you want to join that leaderboard, it's on TA. Shoot me a message. We'll get you an invite. If you're on the Discord or not, we can sort you out. See if you can get that top spot. People play a lot of stuff, though, so good luck. I'm ninth this week, to put it in perspective. So, all right. Completions. We only have a couple of them this week. Keo, do you want to read through those?
Yeah, Bulbasaur finished Divine Knockout and Alice Madness Returns. Stubby did Evil West and Soma. Left for Legacy did Far Cry New Dawn. Were they helping with you? Somebody with that one?
When I was starting Dead Island 2 the other night with them, they were working on Far Cry New Dawn.
Okay, cool, right.
Because Legacy needed the co-op achievements, but Alex still needs the rest of it.
Right.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of like a little bit of a thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll finish it off with Alex and then we'll...
Yeah, nice, yeah. And Shane/Firehawk D did Madison.
Yeah, he's been playing
which is another interesting one.
Apparently that's one of his few good Halloween horror games he's been playing, so he's been shouting out when the ones are actually worth looking at.
Yeah, I need to go back through his list because there's a couple there that I'm like, I really need to look at that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And then we have the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition where I come up with a game that you've probably never heard of. And you have to guess what it is in our Discord. And if you win $20 New Zealand. I'll send it to you on PayPal. I'll get you a code, whatever you want. First clue was this game has a lot of trees. Lots of trees going on. There's a whole tree theme going on. Fishing is the second one. And the third clue, the new clue, is PlayStation 1.
Oh, going for the classics.
It's a big clue. It's a big clue. Be curious to see what people's mind, how people's mind work and kind of how they sift that through that and kind of put, because we got a lot of good guesses, but I'm going to say not a lot of close guesses. So good luck to everyone. Very curious to see what people come up with. Next week's clue is going to be a real giveaway. So if you're going to listen to the show, try and listen live or try and catch the VOD because I'm basically going to give it away. Patreon, Cameron.
Yeah, let me bring it up. I was just too deep in thought, thinking what it was going to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not going to get it, Cameron. So,
all right, it's probably going to be one game that I never heard of.
Probably.
Anyway, Patreon: Lee Howard, Mikhail KB, Netalator, Mad Lefty 2097, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pern, Caballero 7, Old Me Clown, Mark B, Message, Level Legacy, and McNulty. We appreciate the support, and we couldn't do the show without you.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Again, patreon.com/HallofGames if you want to help support the show. We put all the money straight back into it, I know, because I got to pay for Buzzsprout every month. Yeah, we're basically sort of maybe breaking even. I'm not gonna guilt people into giving us money, but we do appreciate all the support and any extra content that we do ends up on the Patreon there. So come check us out.
Maybe you should just buy us like a Southern Comfort console accessory, and we'll pull it even.
Buy me a year of Zoom, and I'll be fucking happy. All right.
Everybody got money for that.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. Well, that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. As always, we do the show live on Twitch, Xbox Hall of Gamers, place to find us. So thank you for sticking around towards the end. We really appreciate it. I know it gets. I know we go on for quite a while, and the admin part at the end is the least exciting bit, but. Keo, what do you got to shout out this week?
Yeah, so really you can just see my streams coming up for Resident Evil games as we go. That's will be just like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4 in VR when I get down that line. And yeah, so they're the ones coming up. And yeah, that's at Keo Live at Home on Twitch, and you can find the VODs for all of my old stuff at How to Fix Gaming on YouTube.
Okay. Cameron, what about you?
Oh, just be gaming.
Yeah.
Come join. You know what? Actually, I don't bother with streaming much anymore, but the Discord feature for Xbox is actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Like I've spent a bit of time just streaming in the Discord. So if you feel if you can manage to find a Discord link to our Discord anywhere,
Yep.
then come
And
watch.
in saying that, I am considering doing some of the VR stuff, like, because there's a few things coming out that will be really good just to kind of stream, just to kind of see, so that you wouldn't see anywhere else. So, and I do that in the Discord. I wouldn't do that on my main channel for the most part, because that's purely Resident Evil's going up there at the moment. So,
I prefer just using the Discord for co-op and that. And when I
Yeah.
struggle, actually, I've got one. So Alex got up to the same point in the story that I was struggling with. There is a point in Far Cry New Dawn where you're meeting Joseph Seed and you have to line up these symbols with this amulet. And for the love of God, I could not get the third one in the cabin.
There's a lot of backseat
Alex
gaming going
did-
on there.
Alex got in like 10 seconds.
Of course he
I
did.
was so mad. My game was bugged, I swear. Anyway.
Something weird did seem to be happening, but yeah.
I mean, when you get 3 people that have also played the game in Discord, looking at the exact same solution that you're doing and being like, "Yeah, I should be right." Then
I mean, to be fair, after we told you to spin it around a couple of times, it did work. So maybe it was
It
just
took
us.
just a second to do. Yeah.
And I'm Neomaster on everything True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. I don't really do anything else other than the podcast. But that was episode 146. A huge thank you to my co-host and our community, and Char, who's going to probably watch this and do the wonderful thumbnail for us. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Thanks, everyone. Peace out.
Bye.